And welcome to Passively Offside, Episode 3. I'm Boris, joined again by the Passively Offside crew. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to go into just a couple of top topics like we always do. Just to round out the weekly predictions, Taylor's at a whopping 9 of 28. Me, Boris, I'm at 11 of 28, catching up to our leader, Brandon, who's at 13 of 25. Nephi and Splenda both sit at 5 of 18. You guys, you got a couple more games. We have the rest of the season for y'all to catch up. Quick breaking news kind of things. If you were under a rock for the past 4 days, Moyes has been sacked. Gotten rid of their skipper, and in comes Ryan Giggs, taking over as interim manager. And best part about it, he's been there 20 years, so hopefully he knows what he's doing. Kind of taking it back, a couple extra things outside of MLS. Qatar announced this week that they are dropping 4, count that, 4 stadiums out of the 12 that they have hosting, citing that they can't make those stadiums can't be built in time. Anyone, real quick, I'm going to take this over to Brandon. Do you have any opinions on this?
Well, I mean, it's incredibly clear that they have absolutely no idea how hard it was going to be to run a World Cup. That said, it's just clear that they're not ready for this. They never should have gotten this assignment. Someone with the infrastructure already in place should have. The United States, the UK was up for it. Geez, I believe, was it China, the Asian Confederation that was up for it? China would have had this ready by now. Qatar should not have gotten this, and it's pretty clear that they acquired it under some dubious means.
Well, not so dubious means. If this ever even makes it over to our good old friend President Sepp Blatter, send some money our way. We could use it. Show me the money. Kind of going back to what we like to call our home, Major League Soccer. Taylor, go ahead and update us all with our weekly candidates and our winners for this past week, Week 7.
So we gave Week 7 our goal of the week. We're given to Mene, right? That's what we decided? Okay, double checking. Give the goal of the week to Mene. That was a beautiful, beautiful shot from right outside the 18. Absolutely gorgeous. Right past the keeper there. Save of the week, we're giving to Nick Ramondo's foot save. He had 2 up. We're giving it to the foot save. That was really pretty. You got to be honest with that. And also, player of the week's going to Nick Ramondo. So those are our guys of the week here. Kind of jumping into some other topics here. Boris, what else do you have to add there?
Just in case anyone was trying to figure out what's going on with why we had another midweek game with New York and Houston playing yesterday, which, by the way, New York 4-0, Bradley Wright Phillips with his first hat trick. Not only that, he is the first English player to score a hat trick in Major League Soccer. So congratulations, Bradley Wright Phillips. Yeah, Houston just looked kind of defeated. But if you guys wanted to know why that game was scheduled, it's actually a makeup game from July. The reason being is both teams have international friendlies. New York Red Bulls are playing Augsburg FC from Germany, I believe, and Houston are hosting Aston Villa. So those are going to be some pretty nice international fixtures to watch. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here.
Cool. Well, we are going to kick off our show today, our actual kind of conversation, with kind of a big topic. In the last 10 games, including the one on Wednesday, we have had 7 red cards. That is 7 red cards in 10 games. Really, I want to kind of kick off with the red card for the throw-in against Kofi from Houston versus Philly on Saturday, not the game on Wednesday. When we first heard that, I remember we were driving around town here, and we were all very confused at how someone could get a second yellow on a throw-in. Since looking back, actually watching that game, it was more than 25 seconds for him to throw the ball in, and he gave another 5 or 10 seconds after the referee already warned him to actually try to throw the ball in. Really one of those situations where he got warned, he was already sitting on a yellow, it was a stupid move, and I think he deserved it. The big question in this kind of situation, are the refs a little bit out of control? Besides that one that, I personally think was deserved, do we feel like the rest of those are the refs out of control, or are the players just completely out of control? Brandon, what do you think?
Well, I gotta say it must be the players, because after rewatching all the red card plays that went through, I was completely convinced that almost all of them, with the exception of one, and that was the shoulder challenge that happened, that every one of them was very clearly a red card. Every one of them was either a second yellow or a red. There was nothing wrong with it. So, and I don't know if anybody else noticed the amount of crazy elbows people were giving during this week. The players were out of control. There was no respect shown for the ref's authority, and the refs did what they had to do to make that work.
You know what? I completely agree. And some of the red cards we saw were two-footed studs-up dives. If you look at that one, there was a two-footed studs-up dive that a picture from the back of that challenge shows that he went through the legs. You guys, it doesn't matter if it hits in soccer. If it's a dangerous play. We also had a kick to the head of a keeper. Had the ball, guy runs in. He skimmed him, but still, come on. Splenda, how do you feel?
It's something that I've touched on enough in my coaching career with lacrosse. Is player safety is really big, and all of those red cards, those challenges that are studs up, those will break a leg, completely tear a knee out, ruin a guy's career. Those are very justified red cards in my mind. From an outside fan looking in, those are plays that really have to stop, and the referee needs to get control of the game, whether it's the league office handing down fines or whatever it is. These kind of plays really need to stop happening, or we're going to see guys going down with ACLs, MCLs, broken ankles, and that's not something you want to see that are guys that are 24, 25 years old. It's the referee's job to keep them safe. So I definitely think it does look like a lot of red cards, but I think they're very justified.
Awesome. One more thing I want to touch on here. Boris, I know you had a little bit to say about the refs in general. What do you have for me?
Kind of to be the dark horse of everyone here in the room, saying that it's the players to be to blame. Yeah, there are a couple of really dangerous plays that were out there, but it's also the refs too, because they haven't been controlling the games. You come out to a couple of the games, see Columbus, for instance, Giancarlo Gonzalez. He's already been in our shame wall last week for that silly dive after Wondolowski tapped him. This past week, Eddie Johnson breaks free on that left side, is free on goal, what we call a denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. Giancarlo brings him down, and the ref goes into his book as a yellow. Obviously, go back, rebrush up on your 17 rules of the game, because that's a red. As well, Mané got in front of Omar Gonzalez and then out of nowhere fell. That's simulation, buddy. Simulation is a yellow. Ref not really controlling the game there. So, yeah, we had some dangerous plays, but there are also referees that didn't control the game that they were reffing as well. A lot of plays that should have been yellows, that should have been second yellows that weren't called. I'm surprised it wasn't more than just 7 this week.
Cool. Definitely makes sense there. I kind of see where you're coming from with that. The red cards themselves are definitely deserved, but at the same time, I agree with you. There were a lot of yellows or even a lot of no calls that should have gone through. So with that, I want to throw it back over to you, Boris. Give us our next topic.
All right, real quick. Shalry Joseph has made his way back to a familiar place. He's back with New England Revolution. He was picked up on, I believe, Tuesday during the waiver draft. Is this a move that sounds a little bit of desperation from New England? Kalen Rowe is still injured. He might not be able to play this week. Diego Fagundes has said that he's nursing a back injury, that he's questionable against SKC. Is this kind of a step your game up to the team from the front office picking up Shalry Joseph, or is it a desperation? We don't have the people, and we need someone in the middle to general it for us. Nephi.
On this, I think it was a smart move by them because, one, they have 2 major injuries. Keelan Rowe is a big part of their offense and hasn't played really yet. And with Fagundes being injured, I know they didn't know Fagundes was being injured when they picked him up, but at the same time, you saw New England last year playing really well, and I think they got more out of their players than what they're always going to be capable of, and I think they're realizing that, and I think that's why they picked Joseph up, just to give a little bit more strength in their offensive attack, because that's what New England is. They're an offensive team who outperformed what they should have last year. It's a young team, and I think this will give it a good core to help that out.
Let's go ahead and send that over to Brandon on this.
Well, when it comes to Shalry Joseph, my big question is, why does a player with his level of talent get moved between 4 teams from 2012 to now? It's been 2 years, guys. 2 years. That is asinine that someone should be being moved from 4 different squads. That said, why? Is it because is he a cancer in the locker room? Does he have a bad attitude? Is he uncoachable? I don't know what it is because none of it's ever publicized. It makes me wonder if he's really more of a detriment to a team than a player who's going to truly help a team.
Yeah, Shalry Joseph is coming into a midfield that's kind of been establishing itself during the beginning of this year. Daigo Kobayashi has proved to be a option for the Revs. With Kevin Alston coming back from injury and him playing the last couple games very good, it might be good to have a familiar face in the mix. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, Taylor?
I mean, I'm with you on that. Having that familiar face, it's kind of hard to say. It's him coming back to the Revs is definitely, in my opinion, I think, as we talked about, the FO picked him up. It's a big thing of step it up. Let's win some games. Let's push some stuff out. We've got some injured guys. We need to get back on the ball.
All right, sweet. With our next topic, go ahead and start us off, Taylor.
Awesome. Let's talk DC, guys. We've got Chris Pontius. He's undergoing surgery right now. He is out of action for 4 to 6 weeks. We're not 100% sure, but surgery. That's kind of a while here. How does this affect their mid? I mean, we all know that he's kind of an integral player of their midfield. Kind of not looking great. Splenda, how do you think this is going to throw him off?
It's definitely. It can definitely throw a wrench in the works on a team that when you take an integral player out, this could echo through the entire team for weeks and weeks and weeks. And even when he comes back, it may not be for another couple games that we see kind of the same production, and they may not be the same team for the rest of the season. This is a huge, huge thing.
Definitely, thank you. Nephi, give me a little more on that.
Another thing other people need to realize also on this is that DC had a big rebuild this year. They brought in a lot of new players, and Chris is, like everyone's been saying, core of their team, and they just started squeaking out results. Nothing has been on their wins. Nothing has been a dominated performance. This is going to hurt them, especially against Dallas, because they're first in the West right now. It's going to be hard for them. Their first game without him, I think, is going to be really hard. Hopefully, after that, though, they can kind of settle some things back down and hopefully keep going.
I want to touch on one other thing with that. Let's remember that DC came from a very, very bad year last year. They did win a cup, but they were the worst in the league for MLS regular season and didn't go to playoffs, didn't do anything. Let's really remember their history past. They've won a lot of cups, and last year they just weren't very good. Brandon, give me a little info on how you feel about last year to this year for DC, especially with this surgery.
Well, they certainly have a much better team on paper. What I worry about, though, is they're jumping into Champions League. They're not really prepared for it. They don't have the chemistry they're going to need in the later stages of Champions League. I think they'll do fine in the group stage. They'll probably beat up on some smaller Central American teams, unless, of course, they're playing someone from Costa Rica. in which case that could be a major issue. However, I think for the long run, I don't think they have much hope of getting out of the quarterfinals. That said, I mean, Eddie Johnson hasn't done much for DC United yet, even though he had a really good chance to do it last week, up until, getting taken down from behind.
Cool.
I don't think they're going to move past the quarterfinals at best.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Boris. Give me a little more info.
This is a team that played a very good game against Columbus last week. They got up early 1-0. They played against Columbus very hard. I mean, if it wasn't for the last 85th minute gasp where Hector Jimenez just gets free on the 18 of the box and slams in one of the nicest curlers we've seen this week, I mean, that would have been another win for DC United. One thing I just kind of want to touch on, Chris Pontius is a great player. He's also a very big guy in their locker room. Right now, we're going to want to see people step up to replace him in that mix. We have Perry Kitchen. You also have Eddie Johnson, Bill Hamid. They all need to fill in those, kind of mental roles within the team, saying, hey, we can push through this. They've got Dallas this week. It's going to be kind of hard for them. But I can see that, DC is definitely a different team, and they could probably be a strong mid-table team to that 5th playoff spot this year.
Awesome. Thanks for that, guys. We're going to jump across the country here over to LA. LA's got another bye week. That's a lot of really early bye weeks. We haven't seen it affect them too much, in my opinion. Bruce Arena says it's kind of bollocks, and he's not happy with it. So, Boris, I'm going straight back to you, resident LA fan. How do you feel about this? Does it throw LA off?
I feel like I should wear like a chain around my neck that says resident LA fan. Apparently that's just my title.
That's what we're going to call you from now on. Get used to it.
All right. Honestly, this is bye week number 3 now. LA's going to have 3 games in hand. This looks good towards the end of the season if we can keep 3 games in hand towards the end of the season. LA's finally starting to get a couple more movements in and out. If it wasn't for Leonardo and his horrid defending, that should have been a 2-1 victory against Vancouver. Should have been another 3 points. Instead, we ended up only getting 1. As far as bye weeks goes, honestly, a team like LA that's got a lot of older legs with Robbie Keane, Landon Donovan, this might just need a week off, kind of get their stuff together, and move into getting the rest of the season and punching out results. Also, it gives us the opportunity of having Landon Donovan go on a couple talk shows here and there. So honestly, Bruce Arena believes that this doesn't affect their rhythm. The team probably thinks it does. He just needs to instill that in their heads. Hey, it's another week where we get to rest our legs so that we can go 110, 115% the next game.
Cool. I like that you pointed out that this does give them the 3 games in hand, but this does give them 3 games in hand very, very early, whereas a lot of teams will get their bye weeks later on, end the season with some games in hand, and have that towards the very end. I think LA, they're going to lose those games in hand as the season goes on. So, yes, they're in prime position. They're a little lower on the standings, but they have quite a lot of ground to make up. Let's go over to Splenda. I want to get a little more info from you on how you feel about these 3 buys.
Early bye weeks like this, if they don't start off the season how they want, this can be a time to change things up. We've touched on their diamond midfield a little bit. This could be time for them to kind of perfect things. It may be a new scheme for some guys, and is it worth taking a bye week early or having that not great, and then that concedes some goals and you end up conceding points. So I think having some bye weeks early can pay off in some respects, but I think it'll play out through the season how things work out.
Very nice. We're going to continue talking about LA a little bit. Boris, you've got another topic for me.
Yeah. First off, we have Nick Raimondo on the verge of tying Kevin El Gato Hartman's record for shutouts. We love Kevin Hartman, at least I do. He is awesome. He's had that record for a while. Nick Rimando is one away from the tie that he could possibly get it done this Saturday against Vancouver. Landon Donovan, one more time. He's on 135. Let's just assume Rimando gets his shutout this Saturday. With LA having a bye and coming into the next week together, who do we got? Landon Donovan, Nick Rimando. Which one of the two is going to cement themselves in MLS history? Go ahead and send this over to Nephi.
Well, it really comes down to Nick getting a shutout this week. If he gets a shutout, then he's tied. Landon right now is tied. So that's really what it comes down to. If Nick ties, which I believe he should be able to do that, then it's definitely going to be anyone's guess on that point. I would like to say it's Rimando. Just watch last game against Portland. I mean, if he keeps that up, he'll get it. Yeah, exactly. Mind blown on that performance. That was amazing. But yeah, that's all I got on that.
So just to touch back on that Nephi, my question wasn't what if. It was he ties it this Saturday.
Okay.
And then you're giving them so we're going the week right after. Who gets it? Rimando or Donovan?
Who does LA play coming back? Does anyone have that by chance?
Let me go ahead and have that here.
Because that's really going to be, I think what it comes down to is who each team plays is going to be really what it is.
LA goes ahead and plays the Crapids. And the Colorado Rapids.
Yeah.
And RSL goes ahead and plays against Chicago, our resident tying everyone team.
Yeah. At that point, wow, that's. I'm going to say Nick gets it. I'm going to say Nick gets it. If he gets the shutout this weekend, Nick's going to get it.
Oh, that's one vote straight for Nick Rimando. Let's go ahead and send this over to Splenda.
You know, I've gotta side with my boy Nick Rimando. He's definitely going to get one this weekend, going against Chicago. He's got a great supporting crew around him. They're able to keep the really tough shots off, but he's definitely going to get it in my mind. I would love to see it happen, and it'd be awesome for him.
All right, that's awesome. Now, with LA going against Colorado, that's a meeting up of Landon Donovan versus Edson Buttle, formerly strike partners. Going back now to that whole setup, knowing that Brandon, Nick Rimando gets his shutout Saturday, going up against Chicago the week after. Landon Donovan versus Colorado. What's your pick?
Oh, I'm really torn on this one, guys. See, my issue comes with, are we just automatically assuming that he gets the shutout?
Yes.
Yes, we're assuming he gets it.
Because that's no gimme with Kenny Miller in the midfield.
Understandable.
Okay, I'm just as long as we all know we're just assuming that.
Yeah.
I have to give it to Nick Rimando then. I mean, if you're playing Chicago Fire, they're not exactly a really powerful or really prolific attack, and they have a tendency of missing golden opportunities. Hence, the last two penalties they've had at the end of the last couple games they've had, they've missed both of them. They had a chance to win both games, and they just threw it away. Both of them were terrible PKs, easily saved. It's got to go to Rimando.
I've got two names for you, Brandon, on this one when it comes to Chicago. You saying that they're not a powerful attack. Quincy Amuerqua, he's got, it's 5 goals now in 7 games. And then you have Mike McGee, last year's MVP. Granted, he's not on that pace that he had last year, but you can't really count Mike McGee out.
You can't count him out, but this becomes a case of what have you done for me lately? He hasn't done anything for Chicago lately. And then if you look at Quincy Amuerqua, the guy's on fire, but he's still playing way above his talent level at this point. This is all about form for him. He doesn't really play at this level on a regular basis. Look at him back in when he played for Colorado. This isn't the way he usually plays. He's all pace with not much technical ability in the box. with not much technical ability in the box, and he usually is just beating defenders to create one-on-one opportunities with the keeper.
All right, no, great points all around. Last person, I just kind of want to touch on this, and I'll say it before I send it over to him. Making a given that Raimondo gets it. I see Landon Donovan finding some open alleys against Colorado and scoring. So I give it to Landon over Nick Raimondo. Gotta give it to the homeboy Landy. Taylor, what's your take on this?
It's not a matter of who or if, it's a matter of when. Both of these players are going to do it because they're very, very close. Nick with 2 away, giving him this Saturday, that'll be 1. Donovan 1 away. That said, if we're talking about who's going to get it first, I honestly have to give it to Donovan. The reason is it's easier to score a goal than it is to shut out for an entire 90-minute game. 90 minutes of shooting on goal, 1 may go in. 90 minutes of getting shot on, 1 may go in. It's a lot harder to save for 90 minutes than it is to get that 1 goal, that 1 pretty goal. Super, super close last week. Amazingly close with that header. Didn't get it. He's going to get it. I say he gets it as soon as they play as soon as they play Colorado. Does Nick get it? Yes. When does he get it? Probably very soon.
All right. Kind of teetering on your lines there, Taylor. Chicago versus RSL starts at 8:30 Mountain Time. LA versus Colorado starts at 9 o'clock Mountain Time. Does Landon score his goal within the 30 minutes that the games overlap?
Well, wait. Again, we cannot give it to Nick Raimondo until the end of the game. So, does Landon Donovan score before the RSL game ends? That's the big question. But again, easier to get a ball in the net than it is to block for 90. I just have to say that. I'm a keeper. That's what I do. It's hard. So I really think Donovan takes it first. I think if they take it the same night, we can't give it to whoever gets it literally first because Nick has to finish out a whole game.
Those are great points, and I'm glad that we had that discussion here. I'm going to go ahead and send this over to Taylor. We're going to go through your favorite time of the podcast.
It's that time! Predictions! Again, we scaled this way down based on some feedback from the first week. Everyone's got 1 or 2. So, yeah, we're going to kick it right off. I've got the first ones with Seattle and Colorado. I'm giving it to Seattle, mostly because I don't like Colorado. I am an RSL fan at heart, but I really think Seattle has – I just think they have what it takes. With our Deuce, our favorite boy on this podcast, Deuce, I really think he's just going to take it. In terms of Montreal and Philly, I'm giving this one to Philly. That's just what I'm doing. I don't have too much reasoning for that. That's just what I have. Nephi, you've got a couple for me.
Yeah. My first one's pretty easy. It's DC versus Dallas. We talked about that earlier. I'm giving this to Dallas. I don't think DC is going to be able to do it, especially with the injury. My next one is Columbus and New York. That, I think, I've actually got that as a tie. New York coming off that 4-0 and Columbus the way they've been playing. I don't like doing ties, but I couldn't pick an actual winner, so I'm just going to go with a tie and hope it pans out.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for giving me that info there. I know that, Boris, you have something to say, so we're going to move you up a notch. Tell me what you need to say and give me your prediction.
Well, it's not a prediction. We'll move back into the order after that. This is kind of a mushy topic. Don't really want to spend on it too much time. But sincere condolences from the whole Passively Offside team to the family and friends of Eric Schertz and to the sons of Ben. Losing a friend, a family member, and a supporter in this culture, that's the one we can all unite behind, and we're sorry for your loss, and we're here for you guys. Back to you, Taylor.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Boris. That is something that we kind of spaced on, so I'm glad you remembered that and putting that in. Seriously, our hearts go out to you. Moving right back into our predictions, Brandon, you've got 2 for me. What's up?
I've got San Jose and Chivas. Personally, I think Chivas get the win on this one. San Jose has kind of been floundering a bit. They looked very disorganized this last week. A little dirty as well, but that's kind of to be expected when you have people like Len Hart and Alan Gordon on your team. That said, Chivas has looked more and more fluid every week, and I think that this is where they break the duck that they've been going through the last couple weeks and get another win.
Cool. All right. Thank you for that.
And then I've also got Sporting and New England, and that one is pretty easy for me. Historically, the last few years, Sporting has just crushed New England. They've owned their souls for the last couple years, but with the exception of the first leg of the playoff game last year. That said, I think, and I'm going to get pretty specific with this one, I think Sporting wins 3-1. Teal Bunbury scores his first goal against his former club.
Cool. All right. Boris, you got one this week.
Yeah, it's actually one of those matchups I'm really excited to watch. It's the Houston Dynamo versus the Portland Timbers. That big tifo came out at the Riot on Saturday. Porter ball, you only get one. Was it Soccer for Dummies? That spun around everywhere. Caleb Porter, you got no wins, man. Honestly, though, this is a defeated Houston team you're going up against. They just got spanked by the Red Bulls. I want to see the Portland Timbers out on this, and I'm going to go ahead and say it's a Portland win.
Cool. I got to be honest with you guys. I'm rooting for Portland on that one because they just need it. They deserve it. They just whatever. Splenda, you got one for me. Round us out.
Real Salt Lake and Vancouver Whitecaps. Welcome to America, Canada. We're coming for you. It's always tough playing at the Riot. It's definitely going to be a great environment. RSL has been really, really tough. Vancouver, they're right at, I think, holding the 4th or the 5th spot in the table. Should be a good game. I'm going to give it 2-1 RSL, or 2-0 RSL, because Nick is going to get a clean sheet. That's what's going on. 2-0 RSL.
And full circle. Very nice. I like that you mentioned the countries thing. We are very accepting of all our countries who play soccer with us, but the American flags are coming out this week. Boris, round us out, man.
Yeah, just a kind of note, asterisk to add to all of our predictions, and for all of you following all the points that have been going on in the MLS. We have a lot of teams that are at 7 games and have not cleared the 8-point barrier. Most of the times, those are the teams you'll predict to not make the playoffs. Just a side note, this year, as according to the past 3 years, we are at a 40% chance of a tie happening throughout the league. So with that going on, that is an overall lower points for everyone. Once again, thank you guys for joining us on Passively Offside. We're glad you tuned in. Hopefully you guys are on here again next week and we haven't bored you to death with our talk. You guys have a good one.